Okay, I'm starting a totally new project here. I decided that I wanted to try creating a design for the Bricklink Designer Program. I didn't really know what I wanted to build, but I kind of played and brainstormed with some ideas and started building them in studio. And let me just show you the process and the progress and what I'm thinking of. Before I show you what I'm doing in studio, here was my very first initial sketch idea. This was very grand in scope. It's not gonna be anywhere near this big. But this was the general idea of having like a temple at the top of like a snowy mountain with this pathway leading up, and just some other little details that I was thinking of with like windows, flags, and the base, just all sorts of different things and notes that I had for it. And then on the back here, this was a general drawing that I made, like a preliminary drawing before I started building it, just of the general idea. We're gonna have like a totem over here, some little stairs leading up to some rounded doors there. What I have so far is kind of looking like this. So this section is the first floor. It's almost completed. I haven't really started working on the next floor yet, although I've done some testing for it. And then this here is the base. And then I have this kind of totem here that is gonna connect with this string to the main floor, and then there is a little basement here as well. So I'm trying to put like a shrine and some interesting decorations and stuff in the basement that would make sense to be there. And the whole idea with this thing is that it is like a Yeti shrine temple kind of. It is loosely based, very, very loosely based off of the Orient expedition temple where they had the Yeti, although I think the Yeti came in a smaller set, but that is the general, very loose inspiration for this. And I even have this little shrine, which is very similar to the one that was included in that temple set. Some scrolls back there, and then this is actually a play feature right here, where if you pull this out, it drops the trapdoor. So I'm trying to incorporate some nice play features just to make it a little bit more interesting and engaging. But this is what we have so far. At the front here, I also just put some little Yeti faces carved into the stone there. And then on this totem pole, I also just included a handful of different faces here. So basically what I'm doing is also building this physically, but of course with whatever parts I have, which means it is quite the colorful build. But this is just to make sure that structurally makes sense and things fit, and you know, the doors open, things function how they're supposed to. And then I can kind of experiment with some of these things as well. So this is kind of still in the experiment phase, especially the top half, where I'm trying to figure out if I want to have some like angled walls here. And then here is this little feature that you just pull this little like shrine out and the trapdoor falls, and it works perfectly, nice and satisfying. But just stuff like that, it's really hard to do in studio. So it's just really nice to be able to come in here, see how much space there actually is. You know, is my hand able to fit in here, and just all those kinds of things. So that is what this is looking like. And I also built this totem pole, or kind of generally sketched it out. It looks like I stole some parts from it though. But that's what this is gonna look like, something similar to that. And of course, it's all gonna be on that big white base. I'm probably not gonna build that physically just because I pretty much know that should be strong enough on its own. But yeah, so that's kind of the process. I'm still figuring out the top half, and then the top roof is what I'm playing with some ideas here. Again, very colorful, but that's kind of the process. And then life just got pretty busy. So for a period of a few months, this project has just been on standstill. That is until I reminded myself just how far I'd come on this project, and that I just couldn't give up so close to the finish line. All right, it has actually been quite a bit of time since the last clip, and this is where we are at with the model. And I only have 6 days left to complete and submit this thing. 6 days until submissions close. They're actually open right now. And I just haven't had the time to work on this. So I was wondering if I was gonna give up or not, but I'm gonna push. I'm gonna really try to see if I can get a completed model. And there's a lot of things that I still have to do, like the final renders, and then some descriptions and photos and everything of it. But the first thing is just getting the design. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. Pretty much all I have left is the like top floor and then the roof. And then besides that, just like small details of things. But it really is mostly done. I just have to kind of design it and then get it into studio. So that's what I'm gonna work on. We're gonna really push and try to get this done in 6 days, which feels pretty overwhelming because I'm really busy over these next 6 days with just like other real life stuff, but we're gonna see what we can do. So with my newfound motivation, let me remind you just where the current state of the project is at. This is what the model looks like. I have yet to finish the second floor and the roof. So I'm just gonna grind it out now, see if I can figure out a general design for the roof and for this top floor, which both feel pretty intimidating because the roofs are always one of the trickiest things, but I think we can come up with a great solution. All right, I just got the general idea for the top layer and roof in place, and I actually think it came together pretty good. Again, you really have to ignore all the colors and just kind of like rough studs because it's all gonna be a lot more polished. This roof, there's not gonna be a hole, and I plan to kind of extend these lines of these little slopes down just like I have done over here. And then it does just kind of pop off. It's not even attached. It's all crumbling. I promise it's really sturdy. I just haven't fully attached this stuff yet. But yeah, this just lifts off. It's this nice solid piece, and I'll just make sure it is really sturdy under there as well. And then the back, I kind of just added this arch piece for some stability. And then there's like plenty of space in here. Like I can just fit my whole hand in here. It's really easy to get around and, you know, if you want to put figures or whatever in there. And then on the sides, I kind of have these little like, what might end up being some shelving areas where I might put some things. For now, they're empty. But yeah, just this nice little walkway up around the top. And then of course we have the opening, but I do actually kind of like how this is like a tall, big, kind of, I don't know, lobby, not lobby, that is like not the right word, but just a big room. It kind of makes it feel taller or bigger with this tall space there. So I do like that. But now I have to go and add everything that I've just built into Studio so we can make sure to get it in the right colors and get it in the program. So here is what the model is generally looking like so far. This top roof piece is just floating there because I'm struggling to figure out how to actually get it in the correct spot. But this is what it's looking like. Pretty much the only last thing that I need to add is this middle roof section that is gonna go right there. But this roof section is on, this roof section is put together. I just need to get it in place and then finish up some interior details and get some minifigures, and then that is pretty much the last few things that need to be done. I'm just coming in here and adding in some of these final little details like a ladder to the upstairs, just kind of figuring out what these windows are gonna be. Some of these things are just really difficult to do in the program, and then like how this roof is gonna fit. And that stuff is difficult to do, so I'm doing it more in person, and then I will add it into the program. And then I did just kind of add this little roof section, which obviously is gonna look a lot better once it is all in the correct color. But I think that does just add a perfect little finishing touch to the front here. And then once we get these windows in, it's just gonna look so much better. But I am really happy with this overall shape. This front little roof area here also kind of adds a little bit of interest there, whereas before it just looked a little bit too plain and simple in my opinion. So now I think this is looking a lot more complete, shape-wise at least. And now I can just go into Studio, add some of these final touches, and then start making the instructions for it. For a little behind the scenes, my days are so full that I have been having to work on this in the middle of the night. I honestly didn't have the time to do this, but I made it work. Okay, but we got the model finished, so now let me just show you a few renders of the final design. And now we're just gonna look at a few stills. This one is kind of an above shot where we get to see a little bit more context of what the roof is going to look like. And here we can see what the close-up of the front door is going to look like. I really liked the yellow doors, and the way I did the icicles using the horns I thought was pretty fun too. For the totem, I tried to make it look like monkey faces or like Yeti faces. I don't know how convincing that is, but either way, you can tell it's faces, and I think it looks pretty fun. As we start to turn to the back, we can get a little bit more of a sense of scale with how deep this thing is and just how large the build actually is. And here you can see the back is all open. It's a full doll style house interior, which I did in order to make sure the part count stayed not too high. I did make it somewhat modular so the roof can come off for easier access, and the totem section totally disconnects and you can see those Technic holes where it attaches. This just means you can kind of put it somewhere else if you wanted or arrange it in different ways. On the inside, the doors do open all the way, and we have this shrine right in the middle, which is a callback to the Orient Expedition sets, and when you pull it out, the trapdoor falls. And in the basement, we do have some carvings and relics to the Yeti himself. You can see his face here in the back, and then just on the sides, we have some scrolls, tools, teeth, and even some stone casts of his footprints. I wanted to include some kind of vehicle, and I had never seen a dog sled done before, so I decided to try one out, and I noticed that these dogs were included in the parts palette for Series 9, so I thought it would just be perfect to try to build one. These are what some of the cover photos are going to look like. These are the minifigures I decided to add in, just a group of different kinds of adventures, obviously based off of Johnny Thunder, but the rest of them aren't too largely based off of anything specific, just kind of some mountaineers. And now that I had everything done, I went ahead and uploaded all the photos and the description and the studio file onto Bricklink to get ready to submit it. And there we go, it's officially submitted. Now we just gotta wait for them to approve it, and then it will be on there along with all the other designs for Series 9. Okay, we did it, we finished it. It's up, it's live, everything is live on Bricklink. At least when I posted this video, voting is open. So I would appreciate it if you go and support it. That's it for this video, it's up. Thanks for following along. There's some behind the scenes of what the process looks like, at least what it looked like for me, designing a Bricklink set submission for the Series 9. But yeah, thanks for watching. Here are some of the final photos.